Y'all ready? Y'all ready? Yes. You have just stepped into the world of chaos, where everybody goes hard. Come on. Go hard. Go hard. Go hard. Go hard. Go hard. Go hard. Or go home. Never back down. You gotta hold your own. Go hard. Go hard. Go hard. Go hard. Go hard. Go hard. East Coast. Go hard. West Coast. Go hard. Midwest. Go hard. Dirty. Hurry up, everybody. Get online, buy your tickets, cause the game about to start.
Hey, what's up? What's going on?
What's going on, brother?
I'm good, man. Just enjoying this Memorial Day weekend.
Yeah, man. It's been good, man. It's raining down here, Mike. Like, we underwater, but we'll survive.
Okay. Right. Well, it's nice here in New York, man, and the weather's good, and we need the good weather right about now, you know?
Absolutely, man. How you been feeling?
I've been doing great, brother. Just, taking it easy, staying out the way. That's it.
New York is like ground zero, so, the family's there.
Right.
I get the reports. We had 5 friends of mine die the first week. 4 of those guys were prominent ball players. Dave Edwards, Jonathan Duck, Lee Green, and Jermaine Miller. So,
and Mo Kirby as well. Mo Kirby from Boys and Girls passed away.
I saw that. That was about 3-4 weeks ago. So
yeah.
The impact is real.
Yeah, definitely, man, definitely. But on a positive note, right? We got you here today, brother. I appreciate you being here.
My pleasure.
I've been reading about you, man, and your growth and your constant improvement in your life areas in all aspects. And you have definitely been involved and are involved in everything basketball, man. So I want to salute you on that, man.
I appreciate it. Where I come from, Hollis, that's the ledge. It's in the air.
Right.
We have a lot of leaders in several industries, basketball, entertainment, music. So I feel like in many ways, these are the things that you dream about when you're me coming from that community. You just dream of being the best that you could be, and you think about how you're going to make an impact. So, it's been in the DNA since, I was a small kid, I would say.
Yeah. Well, tonight, I want to say I apologize for my man Jamel not being here. Today's Memorial Day, he with his family, but we definitely got that picture coming for you, all right? He's definitely going to work on that. For sure. Just something that we do here extra on Basketball Heads. So I want to ask, like I ask all my guests, who introduced you to the game?
My Uncle Kevin. We used to live in the attic. I didn't always have my parents living with me, so my aunts and uncles and grandmother, they took care of me. So I slept in the attic, and I actually had to sleep in the same bed as my Uncle Kevin. I must have been about 3, 4, 5 years old.
Right.
So when he would come home from work, he would play with me, but we would play on a garbage can. He would ball up the paper ball.
Definitely. It was like the hanger in the room. It's the same thing.
Same thing. This is even before the hanger. This is the real thing.
So you went to levels. Definitely.
Right. And, he was always on offense at first. Typical older guy uncle. I had to play defense every rep. So in order for me to get the ball, I had to play defense.
Right.
And, he was the closest person to me on the male side of my family at that point in time. So, again, him coming home and showing me that kind of love, it almost didn't matter what the activity was. The fact that he showed me love and consistently, meant everything. But in the process, I came to really like the game. And, in the other room was the curtain rod.
Right.
So played full court on 2 rooms. One room was the garbage can. The other room was the curtain rod. The curtain rod shots were really harder because this is just a little bit of space. So, but definitely my Uncle Kevin Johnson, is the person that introduced me to the game formally.
Okay. and you started to develop and get a love for it then?
Well, I was right around the corner from St. Pascal's, which is a church in our neighborhood, and they hosted a CYO league, Catholic Youth Organization, and my aunt's boyfriend, Aunt Renee's boyfriend, Wilbur. Well, Chris was her boyfriend. Chris and Wilbur were really tight, and I remember Wilbur saying, "Hey, you should come out and play St. Pascal's," and it was around the corner. So next thing you know, I was playing St. Pascal's. You know, myself, my best friend Steve Frazier, and you know Mark Jackson's little brother, Troy Jackson.
Yeah, definitely.
So that's where it
Steve
started.
Went to Jackson?
Steve went to Jackson.
Yeah.
I went to Oak Hill. Steve went to Jackson.
All right. So, who was your first coach in that CYO league?
Paul Villani, Paul Jennings, and Paul Villani for Bantam. Yeah, but then on the older teams, you had guys like chairman of the boards. Seth Marshall played.
Nice.
He was playing intermediate, and Seth was a point guard. I mean, you know, Dave Edwards, Brian Walker, a lot of great players from Queens. You know, those guys are playing with us early on. You know, Teddy Portwine went to Jackson. So, you know, we just really all came up in the same litter box through St. Pascal's. And then my grandmother was a devout, you know, church constituent. So I went on to church on Sundays. And, you know, Mr. Johnson, who was our church deacon, actually ran the basketball program. So, you know, I would see him. He would visit my grandmother's house because that was the type of leader he was, the type of deacon he was. And then me playing CYO, you know, so that was a big part of our culture, you know, getting the word in at a young age and playing ball. And really, that was the foundation for me. You know, Mark would come to games. You know, he was at St. John's. He was a freshman. He'd come wearing those all red and white dunks, St. John's jacket, Redmond stuff, and everything would get electric when he came in the gym.
Right. So those things were motivational factors for you, seeing those guys.
You know what? It let you know that what you were doing made sense. And that the people that you watch, they were achieving things. Right? So, you know, in middle school, you come out of junior high school 192, Run DMC and them will be right in the park.
Wow.
Socializing, carrying on. You come right to your local park, you know, you got Mark Jackson, you got Lloyd Daniels, you got Boo Harvey, you know, Shelton Jones, Dave Edwards, and a whole slew of other people would be running. So it was routine to see successful people on a daily basis in my community, you know. So those are the things that really made growing up in Hollis special.
Yeah, want to salute my boy that's in the building. Mike T said you and him was in a Bernie and Ernie camp together.
That was the first basketball camp I went to. Robert Holford from my community brought a whole, maybe like 20 guys. Charlie Tatum, Big Kenny Bryant, myself, Stevie Bart, Adrian, just so many of us, you know, from age ranges of probably like 9 to 14. And, you know, it was everybody in the city. If you could play, like Mike Thompson was there, Future was there, you know, Malloy Nesmith, Terrence Mullen, Chris Mullen's little brother. Like,
Garfield said he was there. Garfield said he was there.
Garfield was a star. Garf was a star there. Him and Mike T. Mike was smooth. Mike ain't missed no jump shots. But Garf was like a beast. Garf dunked on Bernard King in front of the whole camp that first year, and we all looked at Garfield Smith like, yo, he was like some sort of superhero to us.
Wow.
You know?
Salute, Garfield.
Yeah. You know,
dope.
so that was just, you know, that was for so many of us. That was like a camp for the 5 boroughs.
Yeah, I definitely went there as well. You know, and how you said you start off in CYO, that was like the training grounds for a lot of us here in New York City. You know, and then we moved on to other things. So, okay, cool. So you was at the church playing CYO, and then did you play junior high school ball?
Yeah, I went to 192, right on Hollis Ave. And I was only sixth grader to make it.
That was the junior high school. I thought that was the elementary school. Okay, all right.
Yeah, I was the only sixth grader to make the team. It was mostly eighth graders. So that's when I really started, I mean, I had other smaller moments where I believed in my ability, but that was a big step. And, believing in myself, playing with the guys 2-3 years ahead of me, which is what we customarily did around my way.
Right.
You played with everybody, who was in school. So you just had to be good enough to get on the court. And so when I got to 192, I made the team, and, I was also playing gauchos. At a younger age, I was traveling up to 135th and 5th, from 9, 10, 11 years old. Boo Harvey played. That's not how I got to play, but, it's just what Lou Dalmaida used to always ask me. So did you see Boo? And then Sweeps played, and,
Right.
little Jay Gill was playing. So, shout out to my coach, Dave Jones. He used to meet me halfway at Roosevelt Field. And then we would catch the R train one stop over to 59th Street. And we would catch the 4, the 5, or the 6 uptown. And he used to meet me halfway for practice and bring me back halfway for practice. And then, like, on weekends, I'd have games all day. So I would stay up in Patterson Projects with him all day, or sometimes all week. And we may have 3, 4, 5 games that day. And so everybody uptown, Andre McCullough, Wally World's doing plays now, and my man LaRon, and, Carlton, Duncan, Hines, Yoda. Like, these are all the guys I ran with when I was little. So I was the only kid coming from Queens playing uptown. So, I didn't really know any better. I used to just go up there and work out. Norman Marbury, Steph's older brother, played midgets.
Right. Do you remember Larry Timberlake, Paco's brother?
Yep. Big Kate, Aunt Kate wasn't even that good yet. So, just great memories, man. Guys like Damon Santiago, play with us, and, Darryl Parsons, just really, those were the special days, man.
Okay, so who's the best player in your neighborhood?
That's a big debate, man, because nobody was better than Sweepy.
Okay.
But, Mark always had success, but, really nobody could touch Boo Harvey in the park, man. Too smooth, too good, too crafty. They don't call him the Wizard for nothing. And then, so that was my immediate park. But then when you go like to Jamaica Park or IS-8, you had a lot of veterans, older guys like Sam Worthen.
Yes, Tony, one of my mentors, Sam Worthen, yeah.
Tony Red Bruin might make a surprise appearance out there. We had big guys like Artie, who went to Cardoza, and, guys like just regular guys like Conrad Rivers, who went to Iona.
Right.
Who was like 4 years younger or 4 years older than me. By then, Seth was Duncan. Dave Edwards used to bring the South Side crew over with him.
Right.
And, we just became one of the best parks, in Queens, and that drew in all the talent. But I would definitely say when Sweepy got on the floor, when Lloyd got on the floor, couldn't do nothing with Lloyd, because Lloyd was 6'8", 6'9". Definitely. He played the whole court. It's fabulous, man. Like, probably the best that I could say that I saw when I was younger, man. Lloyd Daniels.
Yeah, definitely. He definitely my top 3 players that I've played against and saw play. He's the first guy that I seen a team have 2 guys on him the full quarter of the way up court. Like, he was bringing the ball up court, and they had 2 guys sliding.
Yeah.
It wasn't like a trap. It was 2 guys on him. Like, I've never seen that before, ever.
And Boo, you run your whole 5 guys at him, and nobody could steal the ball.
Right.
Just sliding through everybody. He just had moves. And Mark just has such a court presence. Like, he just knew what to do at all times, and because he was 6'4", he always played out the post. So sometimes he might just play the block. So he played like the point forward, because he play off the low post and just make everything happen from there against a small guy. Like me against a big guy, he would play, he'd bring it up. So and his passing, I thought that Boo was the best with the basketball in his hand. Mark had the best court vision, and then Sweeps just had no weakness.
Right.
You know, and so those were the best three, like in our immediate neighborhood. You know, you go to South Side, there's a couple more guys over there. Well, on our side, yeah, those were the best three.
Okay. So who do you pattern your game after?
My passing, Mark. The creativity with the ball, Kenny Anderson. Shooting, I would say, Kenny Smith. And, but I would say when you put it all together and who I really tried to play like, I tried to play like Isaiah Thomas in the 80s. I tried to play like Zeke, being a little guard.
Right.
He was the epitome of little guards at that point, right? But I think the big thing in my game was being able to shoot the ball, and that came from training with Vincent Smith. We shot a lot. You had to be able to shoot the ball because at that time, they didn't really want small guards. You had to be able to extend the floor. You wasn't going to score a lot of points in the paint, in the lane, unless you was really jumping like that.
Right.
I wasn't playing above the rim, so I had to be an expert with my handle, and I really had to be able to shoot the ball. So, I used to watch Isaiah Thomas, win MVP trophies in NBA All-Star games as the point guard.
Yes.
So, you go outside and, he kind of put it all together. But, those names, obviously I played with Chibs at Malloy, and I learned a lot of things from working out with him. He had the pull-up game, right?
Yes.
Always under control. He never got one offensive foul. When you did beat him to the spot, he could raise up and hit the pull-up, or he could change directions. Mark really showed me how to shoot the teardrop. Like, we were shooting a floater long before they even had a name for it. The jet, you couldn't be like him because Kenny Smith, he was jumping like 40 inches. He's running like a 4.3 40. But from a shooting perspective, he could shoot the ball.
Okay.
And, so those are the guys. Like, I took a little bit, from everybody's game because, I would see Rod Strickland play. One of the great players in my neighborhood was his son now was ISO fam, Khalil Brantley.
Yeah, that's my guy. That's my guy. Leroy Brantley, definitely. Sha.
Yeah, like Sha was a monster when we was little.
Yeah. Yes.
Baby
yes.
Pearl.
Call him Baby Pearl.
Pearl watching little cousin. He had it. People really believe in that shit.
Right. Right.
So we always had really Cadillac and Mercedes-Benz and BMWs of guards out in Queens. And, any park you went to, you really had to bring your A game. Otherwise, you was going to get wiped.
Right. Yeah,
So,
that's crazy, man. Rich, what up? What up? It's in the building. Another thing I want to ask you, you played at the junior high school, and what made you go to Malloy?
Well, I was working out with Vince. I met Vince at the Bernie Ernie camp.
Okay.
That was Kenny Smith's older brother. He ran the fast break station. So maybe like the second day of camp, he had pulled me to the side and invited me to come work out with him. At the time, I didn't really know who he was or who his brother was. And so, when I started to go to the battalion to work out and go to his apartment in Left Rack, I started to understand, ABC 1, 2, 3. So, I always worked out with Vincent, but I was playing with Craig Keys, A.D. Park. I was playing Gauchos, still playing CYO. And, but, Vincent and Robert Holford and Howie Lawrence.
Yes.
They were all very, very close. And as I was getting older, you go to camps, we used to wipe the kids in our age group. So it was understood that we was the top guys in our age group.
Right.
And you would sit on the conversations. And at first they wanted me to go to St. Agnes because Mr. Holford was out of St. Agnes with Billy Donovan and, Greg and Tim Smith. God bless Greg, who passed away. He was 4 years ahead of us. But then, Mr. Holford was also working at Christ the King. So like Jason Williams was a freshman there. You know, I knew Alex Broadway, you know, Frank Walker, you know, Wendell Alexis. And so Christ the King was really the talk, but Vince was like, nah, they going to Malloy. So I used to listen to them argue at camp about where myself and my boy Steve Frazier was going to go to school at. The funny thing was, I lived around the corner from Jackson.
Wow.
It was never an option to go to Jackson. It wasn't an option to go to public school. It was always going to be Catholic school from the way they spoke. And, you know, I think the big thing was discipline and accountability academically. So I thought a lot of the mentors and local coaches, they lost confidence in the PSAL in the mid-'80s, you know. And everything started trending towards Catholic school. So, you know, that's why I went to Malloy, because, you know, Vincent was there. And even though Chibbs was there already, it didn't matter. Like, you know, we're going to go, we're part of the same family, you know, and you're going to go there and you're just going to play. So
And
I was
how many years were you behind Kenny? You was 1 year behind Kenny?
2 years.
Okay. All right. Brooklyn Soul asks, who was your biggest nemesis on the court?
Wow, high school, probably Khalid Reeves. Never beat him. You know, I didn't beat Adrian Autry either. I lost him in the Golden Hoops and the city semifinals at Fordham for Catholic school. You know, those two guys were tough. You know, Robert Phelps at Nazareth was a load.
That's my guy. Salute Rob Phelps.
Yeah, he was tough. And then really like coming up on the grassroots, I would probably say like Jerry McCullough. You know, we used to play against Jerry Ice when he played with Milbank.
Right.
And I was with Gauchos, and we used to play against each other in small fry, 5'2" and under. You know, so he was always a tough out for me. I had some trouble with Mo Brown one year in the Golden Hoops. He had a couple moves, gave him some problems. But, you know, I mean, when you practice every day with Kenny Anderson, you know, honestly, man, I didn't really see anybody else. I knew they were there, and I'm not being disrespectful at all. But Kenny was arguably the best player in the nation.
Yes.
Probably middle way, end of his sophomore year. So when you're working out with the great one and you're practicing with him and scrimmaging against him, you know, he was my toughest competition.
Okay, that makes sense.
I used to want to bust his ass every chance I could get. I always wanted to guard him. And, you know, when we started to get ready for Golden Hoops as Aim High, when it was my time to play, we used to scrimmage against him, Sean Green, Big Will Hodge. And, you know, you can ask a couple guys, like ask Vincent Smith, Kevin Jackson. They'll tell you I started to level up. But the problem was I couldn't get a lot of attention because you had to play varsity.
Right.
If I'd have gone to a public school, I'd have probably played varsity as a freshman. But instead, I didn't crack varsity until my junior year at Malloy, because that was the way the system and the program ran at the Archbishop under Coach Curran.
Yeah,
you know,
not too many guys go, especially in the Catholic school leagues, freshmen right on the varsity. So I definitely understand the process. What's up, Pat? So who was somebody that you say, like in a summer league, that you got your reputation off, that you knew you arrived at high school basketball?
Well, funny, I coached Team USA last summer along with Adrian Autry and Alan Griffin. And
Alan Griffin, my God.
Kenny Smith's son, KJ, you know, we brought him on the trip. And, you know, there's a lot of time to build and talk. And so he's asking Red, you know, what was he really good at? You know, and Red, Jay could really shoot, you know. And so Red goes, yeah, when we played against him in the hoops, he goes, yeah, that was Jay's coming out party against us. Because that was his humble way of saying, like, I hadn't played against him. I didn't really know who he was. because I was Agent Archie, but I left that game knowing that that kid is Jason Gilliam. He goes to Malloy, and he's from Queens. And, so I would say definitely that Golden Hoops game was, my that summer between sophomore and junior year. We lost at the buzzer. They cheated us in that tournament, in that game. Yeah, it's all documented. They said we called a timeout. We did it. And
how did they cheat you, my brother?
Bud scores. They scored a shot to put them up one with like 5-6 seconds to go. We take the ball out the net. Crafton took it out. Or Jamal took it out. Somebody took it out and threw it into Crafton. Crafton takes the shot. 3/4 of the court, it goes in. Columbia Gym went crazy.
Yes.
It was melee. You got the referee calling everything. No videotape. They say that Jamal Phillips indicated to them that we wanted a timeout.
What?
So we had no timeouts left.
Oh, wow.
2 shots and the ball. We lose by 3.
I know you guys is crushed.
And that was the first year Aim High had got into the Golden Hoops. We had to do a play-in game where we beat Derek Phelps and the Rebels at the Gaucho Gym. Shout out to Coach Kevin Jackson for calling Karen Hunter Hodge and all the people on the board up there and saying, hey, you can't just keep putting New Jersey Roadrunners in. We knew the church and the Gauchos belonged, but like Young Life, everybody, all the other programs, who had seniority?
That's right.
So they set up that play-in game, and we beat D. Phelps and them, and we got in that first round game against Riverside. And ever since then, that was a big step for Aim High. So when I think about Aim High, we've had tons of guys play with us. Shamgard, Khalid, Kenny, different guys throughout the years. But I know that I'm part of Aim High history because it was my group that got us into the Aim High tournament for the first time. So shout out to all my teammates, Kraft and Jamal.
Go the hoops. And I don't think we could have let y'all win because it was y'all first time and y'all was beating the studs who was there, since day one.
The church won everything that summer. Slam and Jam, BCI, they won all 4 tournaments. They had a house team. Red, Lee Green, B. Reach, Chanel, Aunt Kay, Chris Jordan from New Jersey. You had guys like Terrence Bethel, coming off the bench, not even getting no run. So that was a stacked team. And we beat them. But, we lost on paper. And I think that was my best game maybe in high school because it was on the biggest stage.
Right.
Against how many, a couple pros on that floor, Division I guys, and just the magnitude. And then as an organization, that was the first time we were given an opportunity to be on that stage. So, I wish Golden Hoops never left. That was one of the best tournaments in the country, man. And it was
definitely,
that came at a time where you could just be All-American off the way you played in Golden Hoops.
Facts. One game changed everything. Now we got to go out of town and get that.
Yeah.
So how has Aim High shaped you as a player and a person?
We did things the right way at Aim High, right? Not to say that anybody else did things the wrong way, but, rumors of child abuse, rumors of, guys under 18 getting paid off to play and, picking up guys from other states to play in a tournament with you in a different state. Those things just didn't happen with our organization because if they were, you would have heard rumors of things like that happening. And you didn't. We didn't even travel. Probably before my class. We just really were local. And, because Vincent had his brother first, who was a lottery pick, played with Michael at North Carolina, went number 6 on the lottery, and then Chiba, right after that, the number 1 player, Final Four, McDonald's, the whole 9, lottery pick. Vincent was looked upon as the golden goose.
Right.
The guy that could really move the needle in a player's game But the thing was, Vince didn't run around the city recruiting people to play. You know, he handpicked guys. And then certain guys were brought to him because they were handpicked. So it was special because, you know, the leaders of what we were doing were in the pros. And what people don't really know about Aim High is Aim High really merged with another organization called the Outlaws, which came from like Astoria and Queensbridge. And that was run by Miss Carroll. You know, and Vince and Kenny had Aim High and it merged. And so, you know, and then Howie Lawrence was a big person in supporting the effort. And then obviously once Kenny got to the league, you know, he did his fair part and made sure that, you know, he always supported what we were doing. So, you know, I just felt like Aim High focused on preparing you as a person. You know, we had Pierre Turner, who was a municipal judge. So all of the behavioral issues, all the attitude issues, all of the intellectual property that goes with being a student athlete, it got managed. It got dealt with in a big way. And there was just a sense of intelligence around Aim High that you couldn't be stupid about. And it was a heavy discipline. And just, it was about work. Like if you didn't come to training sessions at Ross Battalion, you better believe you wasn't going to play on a citywide team. So it was serious. Like, you know, Pierre Turner being our mentor, you know, we had issues at school at Malloy. Teachers say different things about indentured servants versus slaves. You'd be in practice just mentioning something like that to them. Next thing you know, Pierre's at the school on Monday.
Right.
Having a meeting with the teacher, talking about what are you teaching our players? You know, so there was a certain amount of, I wouldn't say tension, but tension walking the halls of Malloy because, you know, the people that ran Aim High, they were visible. And they were pro-black, and they weren't going to let anything happen to us on their watch. So the instruction, the supervision, the accountability was real. Vincent called me every night. And so the Aim High, that's like an extension of your parents. Like if your mother and father could transform into a coach, that's what it was like at Aim High. So they had a latitude with us behaviorally because your parents would say things like, oh, well, he's yours for the weekend, Vincent. Or Kenny's mother, Joan, like she turned Chibs over to them. You know, people thought Pierre was Chibs' father for a lot of years.
Right.
Nah, he's just in charge of the estate. But they were sincere people. Kevin Jackson, you know, was the official coach for Aim High. So, you know, he knew everybody's parents. And he was very professional. He worked in Manhattan. You know, he looked the part, he played the part, he knew the game. And so we had three very distinct personalities with the leadership. So, you know, Pierre, like I said, dealt with things outside the lines. You know, Vincent prepared you and did a lot of the back office stuff with film and preparation, and Kevin coached you. You know, and so you got a full education at Aim High. And like I said, things were done the real way. Like nobody's bills got paid, but there was times I didn't have car fare money. And those guys would come out their pocket. Or they would drive me all the way back to Far Rock because I moved from Hollis to Far Rockaway in 8th grade. You know, my mother moved us out there, which was a mess, but I had to deal with it. It was a mission, 2 hours one way. So, you know, there was a sense of family, you know, with Aim High. But, you know, as you know, and as everybody watching knows, family can love you or they can not love you. So,
that's right. That's right.
You know, we would be in some project games. We'd have some moments where things got ugly because, and what's ugly? It got truthful. You're playing like shit. You look afraid. You know, they didn't like some of the things I did at Malloy because I got upset. I got suspended. I couldn't play at Guardia House. I was like, how are you going to do that to me? but they didn't care. Right was right and wrong was wrong, and you were held accountable from a moral standpoint. And I thought that was the difference with Aim High. Like everything that happened outside the lines and the amount of detail that happened inside the lines to make you a good player, because Kenny Smith and Kenny Anderson were lottery picks. So who are you to speak against anything that you're being told to do?
Right.
But, you know, it's such a big part of who I am. You know, like I can't imagine, you know, what it would be like to play with somebody else wholeheartedly like that. You know, I'm 46, man, and yo, Vincent still calls me 3, 4, 5 nights a week like I'm 12 years old.
That's real.
Yes,
So
sir.
Aim House still around in New York, or they moved to a different place?
When Kenny went to Houston and started winning rings, Vincent moved out there, so they was running it there. And then Kenny works at TNT, so he licensed out the brand a little bit around Atlanta, and he's lived in LA for like the last, I don't know, 10, 12, 15 years. So now Aim High is in LA. Okay. So it really has, you know, stomping grounds in 4 states. But right now it's predominantly run out of Los Angeles.
All right. So how was your time spent at Malloy?
Malloy was a bitch, man. I hate to say it. I don't know who's watching, but it was tough because there's a handful of people of color in there, a handful of black people, and, you know, you're coming in as Vincent Smith's kid, and Kenny Anderson's is the whole show. So if you're a guard, no one's really paying attention to you, especially with Coach Curran.
Right.
You can't go to any other basketball camps because Coach is only letting you come to his camp, Jack Curran at Fordham. So the 5 stars, the Eastern Invitationals, the Carnesecca Sarachek, you know, all the other camps guys was going to in the South, I couldn't go to, right? So that put more pressure on me to get better in my neighborhood and working out with Vince and just playing among our players. Obviously, playing against Kenny Anderson every chance you can get, it doesn't get any better than that. So I never really cared about that. But socially, it was tough because, you know, it was run by our brothers. And then my sophomore year, when they didn't let me try out for varsity and they wanted to force me to play JV, I got mad. I got mad, and I didn't want to play JV, so I quit. Mind you, I just won the city championship as a freshman. And I went to Malloy to play varsity as soon as I could, because I could have went to other schools and played varsity right away.
Right.
But you know, the whole academic piece, the discipline, the shirt and the tie, the jackets, my mother ate all of that up. You know, it's one of the best academic schools too, so that was a big initiative in my household. And I got skipped a grade in middle school. I did 2 years and 1. So all my friends who went to schools like Hillcrest and August Martin and Van Buren out in Queens, they started off high school in the 10th grade. I went to Malloy and stayed in the 9th grade, but found out academically I was on par with the rest of the other kids because they're coming from accelerated programs too.
Right.
That's when I first realized that at that time, there's a big discrepancy between Catholic schools and public schools in the academic regimen. So sophomore year, I decided not to play JV. Everybody's mad. Within 4, 5, 6 weeks, my mother told me I could stay home. Didn't tell me right away. 2 days later, she tells me, yeah, they said you can't come back to school because your tuition's not paid. I said, oh, I'm not in JV. And all of a sudden now I can't go to school. So I missed 3 weeks of school. And then in that 3rd week was when we began Christmas, New Year's break. So you're talking about 6 weeks. Nobody saw me. Remember, this is no cell phones. You couldn't even use your house phone back then without your mother. Right? So no one saw me. I'm embarrassed. I'm hurt. I'm listening to the phone calls my mother's having with all the involved parties. It wasn't nothing nice. You start finding out things that, you know, you was always told was not your concern. It's not my concern, but I'm the one dealing with all the repercussions. Right. So that caused a lot of bitterness in me. So, long story short, Coach Curran told my mother to send me back to school in January. He gave me 19 $100 bills out of his wallet. Said, take
Wow.
that to the Birdsall's office. They let me back in class, and then he let me practice with the varsity team the rest of the year. But mind you, early in that year when things got thick, Vincent and Pierre from Aim High, who were the reason I went to Malloy, came to my house in Far Rockaway, said, look, Mr. Alexander, I know we wanted Jason there, and we still do, but things haven't gone as planned. We apologize. So we think it'd be better for Jason to go to a prep school, we have a couple of relationships with. Man, my mother cursed them out. I was sitting there upside down because I'm like, Mom, these are the people you trusted them with the decision-making skill to send me there. Things are not going according to plan, and we need to make a change. And she cursed them out. And that really turned me inside out because now you're going to force me to stay there. I don't really want to be there because I'm not playing varsity.
Right.
I'm getting good grades. I'm doing the things I need to do. Plus, you moved me to Far Rockaway instead of letting me live in Hollis, Queens, which would have been about 30 minutes away. That's where my grandmother lived, my aunts and uncles. It would have been so convenient, but she insisted I had to be in Far Rockaway. That was a 90-minute to 2-hour trip one way to school. So I get back into class, I'm practicing, whatever. Coach Curran gets me a summer job that summer. And I had to save all my money to pay for my tuition as a junior. I'm 15.
Damn, yo.
Having to catch the A train from Mott Avenue in the Rock all the way to Times Square. That's 90 minutes. And then I was working from 9 to 5 at Zena Jeans on 39th Street and Broadway. Chibbs had worked there the summer before, but Chibbs ain't doing no work up there. Chibbs was just chill. You're going to have him on the phone. You're going to have him asking about working for Dick Gilbert and Zena Jeans. He ain't do nothing. But Chibbs was the great one. So I was there. I was doing everything, answering the phones, doing filing, placing orders. I was picking up samples from Penn Plaza, bringing them back to the showroom so we could turn them into a denim. I was sitting in buyer-seller negotiations, and this was the first time I started thinking, there's a lot of people who make a lot of money who don't give a damn about playing basketball.
Yo, you're right.
They got it already.
Yeah.
And that was when the seed planted in me about entrepreneurialism. And Dick liked me so much, the arrangement was I was supposed to get paid and stack my money and pay my own tuition. But Dick said after like 4 weeks, you know what? You're such a conscientious worker, according to the reports he was getting. He said, you can keep your money. I'll take care of the tuition, but don't say nothing. So
that's real, man. Now, listen, you learned a lot of skills early, and like Rob Phelps said, who's in the building. What's up, Rob?
What up, Rob?
That kids don't do that these days. Earning your own way. You was earning your own way at 15, bro. 15, man. That tuition was $2,200 back in 88, 89. And I was earning that paper. And, what I had to do was everybody else was sleeping in every day. Everybody was going to camps, vacations. I was having to get up at 5 a.m., 6 a.m. I was going to work because I was. And, like I said, that was the fork in the road for me because I saw a lot and I learned a lot. And I was always a good student because in my household, when you didn't perform, my mother took away what she knew you loved. She didn't beat you no more. Right.
She didn't say, I'm not going to give you no money. She didn't say you couldn't watch TV, you couldn't have dinner. She say, you call Coach Vincent, call Coach Keys, and tell them you won't be at the game or you won't be at practice.
Right.
And I realized early on, you could take away anything but basketball. So I really pushed myself academically. So that's why I got skipped a grade in middle school, even though I didn't take it. But I definitely did 2 years worth of work at Linden Junior High School 192. And, and that put me right on pace to be in Malloy. So when I wasn't getting things happening, as a junior, and I was coming off the bench. I was like a Vinnie Johnson. Now, when I came in, I changed my game because I was just like, look, I'm just going to put it up. Like, I don't got time to run the show and try to be making you look good.
Right.
So, I had a lot of big games against the All-Americans my junior year. Christ the King, Rob Phelps, Bishop Lachlan, Talentine, All Hallows. The games that we had to play, I went to work. But there was a lot of games, little stupid games against the Holy Crosses. No disrespect, Rich Ashmead, Derek Chivas, McClancy. No disrespect, Dane Irvin. But there was a lot of, St. Francis Prep. I might only play like a quarter against them teams. I'd be sitting there collecting cobwebs, like. But what people don't talk about is after Chibbs left my sophomore year, Vincent left too because him and Coach Curran got into this couldn't be fixed argument in his last game. So my junior year, I'm starting off having quit the sophomore team, JV team the year before. He got me a job. Vincent's gone, so there's no insulation there. And, it just wasn't supposed to go that way.
And what they set up for you was starting to fall apart.
It was falling apart while they were there.
Wow.
And so for Vincent Smith not to be coaching, I went there because he was on the staff.
Right.
Now, my most important year, 11th grade, he's not on the staff. And it sure felt like people had animosity towards me because I was an Aim High kid, because I was a Vincent Smith kid, because I was loyal to Aim High and Vincent Smith. I played Aim High as a 10th grader when they didn't let me play varsity. They didn't even let me try out. They didn't even let me try out. And that's a whole separate story about how my boy Steve Frazier and I got railroaded. But they ended up letting Steve play varsity because he told them, if I don't play varsity, I'm not playing nothing. We was in that meeting with the TV coach. I couldn't believe he said it. I was like, whoa, did he just say that? He did. When they shifted camera to me, I said, well, obviously I want to play varsity, but if I have to play JV, I'll play JV, but I definitely prefer to play varsity. What you think happened? They put Steve on varsity, put me on JV. And they tried to give me an intellectual response saying, oh, well, Steve's a shooting guard. His skill set complements Kenny Anderson more. No, we would have been nice all in the backcourt together because Chibba got double teamed and triple teamed routinely as a senior.
Now, do you think if you would have spoken up for yourself like Steve did, it would have made a difference? If you would have had a chance to do it all over again, would you make the same decision?
If I could do it all over again, I would have still said the same thing that I said, but I wouldn't have quit. Because that put a rift between Coach Curran and I. Coach Curran got livid over that. Because they looked at me like, who's this kid think he is? Like, he's not better than Kenny Anderson. So why does he think this? Why does he think that? Because the summer before in camp, I ate up every guard in our school at camp. Like, y'all playing around here. But that's the system in the CHSAA at the time.
Right.
And then it was hurtful because all my friends, Terrence Rencher, Pocketbook, Orlando Antigua, they was all sophomores of St. Ray's, and DeCesar put them all in the starting lineup. He went with a youth movement, and he showed up every varsity coach around the city because I don't remember what their record was, but they played Mashburn, Talentine, Red and Reese. They played Rice. They played all those schools, All Hallows, Chanel, all them schools tough as sophomores. All sophomores starting five. And so, it should have happened. It didn't happen. And like I said, it was just tough as a junior because Vincent wasn't there. The air was, I'm an Aim High kid. I'm part of his legacy. I wasn't getting the benefit of the doubt. I had just had a great summer against Tolentine and the Golden Hoops. Well, Tolentine, really Riverside.
Right.
And, we playing against those guys in the quarterfinals at Fordham, and I only played a quarter and a half. It was just, I was getting recruited by ACC and Big East schools.
And during all this time, Rob says you should have came to Nazareth.
I probably should have, because Coach Gus is over there. He played the kids that handled their business off the floor and the kids that went hard on the court. They didn't play favoritisms at Nazareth.
Right.
Like Mark Keats and those guys, they had some, Chib struggled against Nazareth. That's how good Nazareth's team defense was. They wasn't afraid of him. They stayed with him. Whatever he did against Nazareth in the scorebook is what he earned.
They
played the best defense against him, to me, of all the schools in the CHSAA, Nazareth.
Wow. Yeah, they were definitely tough. So how did your senior year work out? Did you stay your senior year at Malloy?
I had to get myself kicked out of Malloy. After we lost that game against Tolentine, I was so mad. It was like nobody understood what I was mad about. So I didn't come to school for 2-3 days straight because I knew that was the only thing I could do. My mother wanted me to stay there. I was a B student, but I was rotting as a student athlete. It just hurt me so much, especially after which Coach Curran and I went through, the year before. I was grateful to him for getting me a job, but at the same time, I felt like you're holding me back. And it was just like, you're holding me back. And, when you do that to kids and families, you change lives.
Right.
Still, for kids like us to go to a school like that, it puts a strain on everybody, because it's not just about academics. Remember, they made me miss 3 weeks of school academically. They didn't even let me finish up the semester, so they don't give a shit about things that you think they do. The money wasn't there, and all of a sudden, I didn't even know who was responsible for paying the money. To this day, I never asked where the tuition money was supposed to come from. Was it supposed to come from Aim High? Was the Jet supposed to cut the check? Was Vincent responsible for that? Was my mother supposed to be paying it weekly? They never had that conversation with me. My job was to pass the entry exam, get B's in class, and be the best ball player.
Yeah, listen, I never understood why Jack Curran didn't start or play Kenny Anderson in the whole first quarter. Here you have the best player in the country, right? He's one of the best players as a freshman. And he doesn't play the first quarter. We banked on that because when we met them up in Glen Falls in '86, we were banking on that. We placed everything on that first quarter run. We're going to get through the rest of the game, but we get this nice first quarter lead or get our confidence going, there's no coming back. And the fact that he held Kenny out that first quarter, I just thought that was crazy. And I think that's one of the reasons why Kenny didn't go to North Carolina, because he didn't want to be another cog in somebody else's machine.
Well, you're right about that. I mean, the implications around everything you said are pretty much right there. And, I know you talked to Mike. I know you talked to Garth. I know you talked to Rob. That was the air of control in the CHSAA. Those coaches weren't going to let you play like Pearl did. I couldn't come down there and throw it behind my back 3-4 times and hit you with a spin move and do a no look. I still might have come out the game, even if the play ended up in a score, because that style of play just wasn't condoned. And just culturally, socially, academically, athletically, it was just different in Catholic school. I would never question Coach Curran. I have an opinion. I wasn't blind. I think sometimes they definitely felt like I shouldn't say something. You can't rain on me. You can't pee on me and tell me it's rain.
Right.
I was never good at playing dumb. You know, a lot of people say, oh, I just play stupid so I can hear. I can't play stupid. That didn't fly around my house. You know, like I was a good student. You don't get to skip the grade playing dumb. So, you know, you couldn't tell me it was water when it was really pee. And that's a lot of things that I dealt with. And, you know, I'm still going through issues at home. So a lot of days, they weren't good days for me. And basketball becomes your refuge.
Right.
And so when you take the freedom of basketball away from me and you add that political element inside the lines, I really had nowhere to turn. You know, so I had to get myself out of there. And I was getting recruited by Wake Forest. So they signed Randolph Childress.
Yeah.
Coach Davis called me and said, hey, you know, I can't recruit you anymore. We signed Randolph, you know, but I love you to death, Jay. You know, I heard you left Malloy. I said, yeah. He goes, well, you know, Oak Hill has a pair of All-American big men and they don't have any guards. You know, you should give Coach Steve Smith a call. I said, all right. He gave me his number because I was enrolled in Far Rockaway for the last month and a half. And me and Stacy Castle, you know, was having visions of maybe like being, you know, just, you know, and, but I called Coach Smith. We had a great conversation. He most likely called Tom Konchowski. Tom gave him the scoop.
That was the same thing. Yeah.
Didn't know what the school looked like. I didn't see the school until the first day I got there. I get there off the bus from the airport. You know, I'm bringing my bags off the bus, you know, just looking around. We're in the middle of nowhere. And there's somebody like, yo, who's Jay Gilliam? So I turn around and see who it is. You know, you don't want to say nothing at first.
Right.
Like, yo, anybody know Jason? And then I was like, yo, what up? He like, yo, what's up, man? I'm Corey Alexander. So I had been hearing about Corey, you know, from my friends because they got to go to the ABCD camp. My invitation got pulled, even though I played with the church. Like, there was a big deal when I left Malloy because, you know, Pierre got mad because I got myself kicked out on purpose. I didn't care. So he said I couldn't play LaGuardia House. I said, fine. I'll just play with Riverside for the summer. How about that? And I went out west. And so instead of rocking with Steve Frazier, I went and rocked with Terrence Renshaw all summer. And we went out west and did us and really killed. And so, you know, I went to Oak Hill, had a great year. You know, Coach Smith said first, I can't handle your recruiting the first part of the year because I got to deal with Ben, Junior, and Corey. Junior Burroughs, Ben Davis. They was all top 20. I'm coming in probably top 100, you know. So he tells me also, I'm not going to start you at the point. And I remember thinking like, oh, boy, here we go again. He goes, so I was about to get sad, but he goes, I'm going to start you at the 2 because I got to have you on the floor. So Corey was at the 1 because he was ranked higher. I played the 2. It kind of hurt me in recruiting because a lot of coaches would say, you know, you played great, but I didn't see you on the ball.
Right.
I don't know what you tell. Which it ain't because I can't play it.
Right.
It's off the ball. You know, and I probably almost was going to go to UConn because Kevin Ollie didn't have his test score. And they told Coach if he comes, he has to sign. Talking about me.
Right.
So, you know, we was talking about the visit thing, and I really wanted to go to North Carolina State, but Coach said, if you go there, you're not going to play right away. So he hurt my feelings. But he was truthful. He understood everything. You know, politics, ability, just he understood it more. So I said, all right, you know, I won't think about NC State. Kevin Ollie got his test score. And so I ended up going to Rhode Island. And for Al Skin, I had gone to camp there when I was in middle school. So, you know, I knew him. I knew Coach Brendan Malone. I knew Kenny Green. I knew who Silk Owens was from Brooklyn.
My teammate. Yeah, my former teammate.
Jimmy Wright. There was a couple of prominent players who lived in my Hollis community that had played in Rhode Island.
Hold on for 1 sec. This session about to end. We're gonna come back and do one more session, all right? And wrap this up.